Irregular Nation, welcome to the spoiler edition of Irregular Reviews Fantastic Four. Yeah, alright, we'll be right back. Hopefully you stay after that. Okay, we're back. Yes, okay. So we just saw Fantastic Four, First Steps, and yo, this was a good movie. I will say now, if you've seen this, like my Superman review, I'm a big Superman fan, this and that. Oh, gushing over that movie. But when we're talking about Fantastic Four here, the predecessors, the movies that were out before this, even the cartoons, I mean, look, the group is well known, but was it always easy to translate the Fantastic Four group onto the screen to hit general audiences? Obviously, you always hit your nerd base, but can you tell an engaging story properly? I mean, because they're not like the action hero team, like the Avengers or the Justice League or the X-Men. I mean, their missions are usually a little bit different. They're all scientists, okay? You have the Rock'em Sock'em of the Thing, Ben Grimm. The actor that played Ben Grimm, what was his name? Oh, God. Oh, geez, we're not going to butcher that. Hopefully the first name starts with Ebon. Well, he did a great job. And the way that they had the thing CGI, just so everybody understands that as we're doing this spoiler review, I'm going in no order of the movie. We're going to talk about all the things I love. I don't talk about the things that I didn't like. I mean, screw that. It's so stupid. If I don't like a movie, I'm just not going to review it. I'll put it to you that way. I'm not going to come on and sit there and say, well, this movie sucks or anything like that. Basically, everybody else does that. So, upon these irregular reviews, yeah, it goes all over the place. But, I get to my points. This is how I do things. So, yeah, the guy that played the Thing. I love the way the Thing looked. They gave him a better look in this one compared to, the actor's name I'm not going to remember from when, Jessica Alba, Chris Evans, that universe that they tried doing. That didn't work. Didn't work. The movies were very subpar. And then they had that atrocity that came out with Miles Teller and Michael B. Jordan that I actually never saw. And a lot of people were like, thank God you didn't. Yeah, it just didn't look good. It was like, it almost looked like they were trying to be too edgy with the Fantastic Four, and it didn't even look like the damn team at the end of the day. Their uniform, all of it. I was like, no, I don't see that. But when this preview came out, a few years ago, whatever, it usually takes 2 years to make these damn movies, sometimes a little bit longer. The one thing that everybody was really nervous about, right? Oh, God, another Pedro Pascal. Pedro Pascal gets to be Reed Richards. Everybody always wanted John Krasinski from The Office to be Reed Richards, and they used him in the Multiverse of Madness, the Doctor Strange movie, and, he lasted like 2 seconds, and it was really stupid. But that being said, he looked good in the costume, but when you're looking at the universe that they were building right here, I think all the casting was perfect. I remember when Joseph Quinn got cast as the Human Torch, Eddie Munson, yeah, that's right, from Stranger Things. Everybody was like, oh, I don't know if that's a good casting, yeah. The only one I believe that everybody was kind of like head over heels for was the Sue Storm casting of Vanessa Kirby, and then that was, she hit it out of the park. I think every actor that played their roles hit it out of the park. You got behind this team, okay? You got down with this team. And now, like what I was talking about with the stories, it wasn't that they had the wrong stories back in the day. They just didn't put it on film, on screen the right way. It never hit. They just weren't good. Even when they did the Silver Surfer. And then when we got the Silver Surfer in this one, because they did Galactus back in the day, but he was like a big cloud of smoke, which was just like, what? What are you doing? And they chose a female. Oh my God, a female. And it was Julia Garner. And she's a good actress. And her character was, I don't know all the lore of all the different Silver Surfers, this, that, the other, but it was Shalabal. And her story was intertwined, in my mind, perfectly with what you were trying to do within this movie, okay? We got the multiverse in this. Already they're telling you, they show you they're on Earth 828. And in that one sequence, I like the way they start the movie off with a reel of where it's been, and now what are they, 4 years into being the Fantastic Four, I believe? Then Superman was 3. So, however they want to put the ears is fine. You see the way that each individual, you're feeling the personalities with each individual in these short little scenes, just the way that they're being put together. I thought it was great. Now, the aesthetics are like 1960, I feel, 1950, 1960 kind of vibes with futuristic tech. Now, the tech also, when you're looking at the tech in that, you're like, is that the TVA? Now, I've seen theories of that came out prior to the movie's release. And I'm like, well, that could be. That really could be. But, excuse me, I have to take a sip. But when you're watching the movie, I will say, now to anybody that's seeing this, if you remember the Jetsons, it had a little like, me, George Jetson, just with the flying cars, some of the tech. Now, obviously, they're not living up in the sky, this and that, the other, but they kind of are at times, Just the way that was. If anybody ever seen the Jetsons. All you needed was a dog. They didn't have the dog. I love the robot. You gotta love Herbie the robot. The one thing that... Look at the differences in the Human Torch. The Chris Evans Human Torch, they got their 2-movie run. And then you're looking at Joseph Quinn's Human Torch. They actually made, they're all scientists in this one. Yes, he also is a ladies' man, though still. But he still has that loose, maverick kind of personality. But he also is showing his science side, too, in this. Because he plays the big role with deciphering the language of all the different worlds. When they have that encounter with the Silver Surfer, okay, and she turns around, she said, die with yours, I believe that was, and then throughout that, you'll see, even the way they use all, the tech throughout the movie. I love the way they use the tech, and I'm trying to say, this wasn't an action movie, so that's why I was like, yeah, the Fantastic Four, they're not they have action, they can fight, but it's not... they go more with the science route. How can we stop this without, doing this, that, the other? Reed Richards is trying to pacify the world, basically, in this movie. And you feel like his anxiety, the acting, like I said, the acting in this movie was really good. Someone let me know in the comments, too. Was John Malkovich in that shit? I don't recall seeing him. Even in the extra credit scenes here. The extra credit scenes. I didn't see him. So I don't know if that was cut out or whatever, or maybe they mentioned, I think he was playing the Thinker, maybe, whatever. But, that being said, at no point, even in the slower parts of the movie, are you, falling out of it. You're getting into each scene. When Reed Richards, when Pedro Pascal's character finds out that Sue Storm is pregnant, oh my god, you feel the anxiety right there. You feel his anxiety throughout the movie. That's why I'm trying to say, everybody that was nervous, or enough Pedro Pascal, look, he played the damn character. I separated the fact that was Pedro Pascal, and that was Reed Richards on screen. Okay, now, I'm not the deep comic book dive guy, I'm just not that dude. But, hey, look at me as a casual viewer of the Fantastic Four. Not of the nerd realm, but just of this group, and I love this movie. So if we're going to score this movie right now, here at the mark right here that I'm talking in the middle of this, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Easily an 8.5. Acting alone and storytelling for this movie takes you there. Now, is it real super comic booky? No. And I like that. Because that wouldn't have worked if they did do it super comic booky with the stakes that were happening. Galactus, oh man, Galactus was great. And like I said, the Silver Surfer, your Silver Surfer had a purpose to this. Like I was saying, when Human Torch finally at that one point, he deciphers all that and he uses all the languages, and then we find out her backstory where she had to give up herself to save her planet, but yet here she was eliminating every other planet around, but she saved her. She saved hers. But then she started hearing all the screams. So that whole sequence is going on throughout the movie for Johnny Storm, and he it is Johnny Storm, I hope, yeah. the torch, the Human Torch, but you gotta like you had his story. Now Ben Grimm, the thing he had is, I liked his character in this. He was definitely, a side character. He was the muscle throughout it, but he was used well, I thought. They didn't spent too much time with him dwelling, like they did in one of the, I think it was the second movie they did that, where they were switching powers and all that shit. They didn't overdo that. You felt it, you could see it, the interactions he would have, you can see some of his like going back and forth, but he was good humor for the movie. And I think all the jokes landed pretty well. The jokes were very subtle in this movie. They weren't like in your face jokes. They happened within the context of stuff happening. Now, obviously how jokes should happen, but they weren't out of context, I felt at all. I felt that everything hit well. And each character, each emotional moment was delivered well. Now, of course, the biggest point of the movie, besides Galactus wanting to eat their world, and we'll get into when they go visit Galactus, because that was some of my favorite shit right there. Like I said, the movie was shot well. Like I said, I'm a VFX artist here. Like, I know, no, it was shot really well. The CGI was great. That's why I also love, too, when these movies, they give you your previews, this, that, the other, and the noise that comes out, and everybody starts talking about, oh, it doesn't look good. Why didn't they use practical this and that? Are you kidding me? Her eyes alone, like when they close up on her and they have like the mirror, it looked great. It looked great. And the voice for Julia Gardner was fantastic. I herald your beginning, I herald your end, I herald Galactus. Just awesome. So now I might have been talking about something else before, but that's okay. Let's talk about when they go into space real fast. I was going to talk about Franklin. That's where I was going. So when Franklin's born, but Franklin's born in space. So let's get to that, right? So she's pregnant when all that stuff's going on. When she comes down after they're like the Beatles of their time. Everybody loves the Fantastic Four. They're protecting everybody. They're taking out all their villains. And when they go into space, my God, that is intense. I loved every part of that moment. Like when they go to his planet pops out of nowhere. They're jumping through. They're pulling a Star Wars right there, going light speed and all that. Like warp factor. Now was that? Yeah, that might have been Star Trek. It's okay. Warp factor. Yeah, that's Star Trek. That's all right. But we had the wormhole effects. We had the, oh my God, the black hole. When they used the black hole, holy crap, to catch the Silver Surfer, like, dude, the movie had a lot going on in it. And I only saw it once, so some of this, I'm kind of like I'm trying to remember like every point in being, but that was fantastic. That was shot well. Then he enhances her pregnancy, if I remember correctly. Like when he looks at her and he uses his eyes, I think that happens in that part. Yeah, it did happen. Yeah, it did. See, you guys can correct me there if you want, but I'm pretty sure he did. He induces the labor. They find out that Franklin is the cosmic being. He's got the power to take off the hunger of Galactus. Now, is Galactus evil in this? No. The way they use Galactus is he's kind of just that dude. He's just had enough. He's been around for centuries, eons. He's something that they've never encountered before. He's gigantic. At one point, he was smaller, but then he grew so large because of all the planets and energy that he consumes. And now they have a baby, and they've given it the cosmic, energy. Now, I didn't know much about Franklin. I mean, I love the name Franklin. But from the comics, he's like the strongest, basically, mutant there is. I don't know if he's considered a mutant, technically. He might be, doesn't matter. He's like basically the most powerful being. He can create pocket universes. Lex Luthor right there from Superman, different genre though. But like I'm saying, MCU and DCU, cooking right now. Cooking. 2 movies out, fantastic. So one doesn't know where they're going to go with that. Of course, at the end of the movie, he brings back his mom, who sacrifices herself. Another great payoff, right? And then when they're not able to do that, they admit to everybody that, they're not going to give up their child. They're not going to sacrifice their child for what Galactus wants to do, but they're not going to quit in trying to save humanity. Then they start coming up with the portal ideas, like the shell to cover, like to protect the world, and he's gonna transport it to another dimension, basically another solar system, anywhere that they can, like the science in this that they're using. They're showing how smart, basically, the Fantastic Four is. Okay, and what excites me too is the fact that they're going to be tied into the rest of the MCU now. Now they're going to be in Avengers Doomsday. Of course, we get that big ooh at the end when Doctor Doom, Robert Downey Jr., where everybody's pissed off about that. Everybody's going to eat their crow on that crap when that comes. You are. He's there, and it's like years later, and then Franklin's older, and you see him right there, and Sue Storm's right there. She's got her powers were awesome too, by the way. We'll get back to that. And he has his, he has the mask off. You see it. You see his cloak, his green cloak, whatever the fuck you call that shit. And then he's like touching the face, so he's there. So Franklin being born now is going to cause some kind of craziness in the multiverse, okay? And whatever we're going to have Doctor Doom do. And then apparently Doctor Doom, because it's been, from what I know, it has been said that he is part of the 828 Earth. So he's on that Earth. So then he's going to start traveling through. So who knows how grandiose this story's going to get. But that's where the excitement lies, because their world is pretty goddamn awesome. The Fantastic Four's world, I love it. I like the Earth. The Earth is cool. Final battle sequence with Galactus, fantastic. The plan to set it up, the speech Sue Storm has when basically Earth is turning against them because they think they're being selfish, but then she gives like this heartfelt speech. Like I said, at no point did you not like the characters in this movie. Mole Man, that was the dude from Cobra Kai. He was funny in his parts, how they use, like his subterranean world that he has down below to keep everybody safe. At no point is the Fantastic Four trying to sacrifice anybody. We're not trying to make this a dark turn on how they were trying to do that a lot with a lot of these heroes. They were trying to make them have like these dark twists and turns. No, man, you were feeling the stakes of it. Like, can you imagine being up against like a dude that's coming to eat your world, but he wants to take your firstborn, and you're like, you're not gonna take my firstborn. And there was so much going on. So yeah. I fucking love this movie. This is a really good movie. Am I gonna go see it again in the theater? No, I'm gonna wait for it. But I still haven't seen Thunderbolts, and I know Thunderbolts was good. I'm just not buying it for the price that they want. I'm just gonna wait for it to stream for free. I just never got to the theater to see that. So regardless, and that's the other thing I'm gonna say in here real quick. Everybody with their movie math crap, will you people stop? If you love the movie, that's it. I don't want to hear any freaking normie idiot that sits in front of a fucking camera talking about movie math. Stop. Enough. You don't work for the studios. Cut it out. You're taking the joy out of this. Yeah. Now, of course, can you pick things out of like this movie or any other? Yeah, man, but why? This is an 8.5. This is a comic book movie that gave you every quadrant, I feel, with telling a story, a beginning, a middle, like that other part of the movie that's kind of like right there in between before you get to the end, and each one hits, each one has stakes, the science that they're trying to do, and like anybody that tries to make sense of the science in this crap, please don't. But what they're trying to do, and then when the Silver Surfer comes and starts destroying it, you think they're gonna make this like aha, because it's Fantastic Four is kind of like that rainbows are great kind of thing. Everything is fantastic. Everybody give a hug, but like things always happen. So, I highly suggest going to see the Fantastic Four First Steps, and it was some good first steps, I must say. I mean, like I said, at no point was I bored, and I wasn't a dude that knew shit about really anything. I wasn't trying to do any kind of deep dives on this. I just wanted to see where they were going with it. Same thing that's going to be said when I see Thunderbolts. Just give me a good little story. Let me see where it's going. They have the connected universe, and what a group to start off with. We've got the Fantastic Four, so now let's get to the damn X-Men. I want the X-Men next. Oh, so bad. Let's see, is there any other things I want to touch on with this movie? Let's see. So, last things I really want to say are, like I said, let's touch back on the fact, acting, fantastic. I'm going to use the word fantastic. The uniforms, the costumes, I love the costumes. I wanted to find one, couldn't find one. I think they were great. Okay, the spacesuits, The CGI for Human Torch. Silver Surfer. The Thing. Yes. Herbie. How about we touch on Herbie? Herbie was fun. Herbie reminded me of Rosie from the Jetsons. Herbie. Rosie. And then, just like I said, everything just had a payoff. And that's what you want. You want everything to have a payoff at the end of the day. And this was a contained story. So anybody trying to compare it to the Superman, Superman was setting up a whole universe, and you still got to feel the Superman in that. This was their world, and we're tying it into the rest of what we've got going on in the MCU. And I'm excited. I'm fucking excited. So, like I said, 8.5 out of 10 for this movie. And everybody, please, if you don't know, don't forget to go check me out on TikTok. Check me out here on YouTube. That's got that here. And yeah, I've got Instagram and all that, but TikTok and YouTube are my main platforms. All right, everybody. And don't forget to come take a ride on the irregular side, because why wouldn't you want to? All right. Cheers out there. See you later.